Hey YouTube, Mike the Rinnai guy here. How are we all doing today? I hope we all had a safe and productive week and we enjoy installing our Rinnai endless hot water heaters. Alright, and I hope you enjoyed that two-part series on that new Demand Duo unit that Rinnai has put out that can be vented into B-vent or a common chimney. Alright. Today's video, we're going to touch on, well, not even touch on, we're going to just devote this and fully explain this because I have been getting a lot of questions. Now, you know from other videos, when I get a bit of questions, I like to do a video on to answer them. But I've been getting a lot of these questions, and this is on the thermal bypass valve, okay? This is the Rinnai part number U306-144-9. It is the valve that comes with the RUR series unit. So the unit that has the recirc capability. And that part, this part, is used for when you do not have a dedicated return line. So you're going to use the plumbing within the house to make the unit recirc through the system. So this is exactly how you're going to get it in the box, in this plastic bag. And here, if you want to take a screenshot of it, that's the part number. It is a Grumforce unit. This comes with an instruction sheet and the piece. Now, we have our little demo board here. All right, what do we have? Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to find out from your customer. The way I ask them, I don't ask them what's their farthest fixture. I ask them what is their most troublesome fixture. So, I mean, you might have a customer that just is a husband and wife, or just two people within the house. And they might use the master. Of course, they're going to use the master, which is right next to the tankless. But they use the kitchen a lot. Or they might have another bathroom that's not far away that maybe the mother or father-in-law lives in. Ask them what they're most troublesome. Pretty much 95% of the time they're going to say that bathroom all the way at the end. So, but then again, it could be a kitchen. All right? This unit, this bypass valve, you could only install one in a house. That is, the question of the bypass valve, that is the major question. Can I put one at every fixture? No, you cannot. When I show you the piece, that the hot water side of an RUR, it'll confuse it. You can only have one of these, and when I explain it to you, you'll understand. So, one, and I'm going to repeat this throughout the video, only one. Okay? So, you're going to install it underneath, like I said, the farthest fixture or the most troublesome. But you're not going to put it like at a shower. You're not going to, if you're doing a renovation, you're not going to be installing this in the wall at the shower just because the shower or the bathtub, you know, the drop-in tub is further in the big bathroom. It has to be installed in an accessible location that you can get to either clean it or, if it malfunctions, to replace it. So that's why we put it underneath the furthest vanity. I mean, if you've got two in a row, we put it on the furthest wall. If there's one when you come in the door and one on the back wall, we put it on the back wall. That's where we put it. Okay. Okay, what are you going to find? You get into the house, you get into the bathroom, or you go to the kitchen, you got a faucet. Okay? You're going to have a hot water line and a cold water line. You're going to have two speedy valves and two speedies that lead up to the faucet that the people have normally used. All right. So, what is it going to look like, and what do you need to do? Well, That's what it's going to look like when you're done. So basically, this is the valve. It has 2 holes in it to be mounted to the back of the cabinet. You have a hot water inlet and then a hot water out to go back up to the faucet. Then you have a cold water and then a cold water to go back up. So when the system is not operational, the pump's not on, the tankless is not on, you'll get regular hot and cold water out of this faucet once you turn it on. What this does is during the pump cycle, let me just get this camera back a little bit. Is that the pump within the tankless, the RUR unit, sends water through here, through it back into the cold water line. When this gets about 95, 98 degrees, there is a thermal activated thing in here. Now there's check valves in here to prevent water from backing up, and it shuts this unit down, which then sends pressure back to the tankless, and the tankless knows that this is shut down. And then when it cools off, it goes through the cycle again. But when it circulates through the plumbing and shuts down, so that when they come to the bathroom, instead of waiting 3, 4, 5 minutes, they turn the water on for hot, whether it's the shower. Now remember, this is at the sink. It's going to take a couple of seconds to drain out the branches to the shower or the tub, but it's going to be 20 times faster than if they're just going to dump water. So remember, you're dumping water down the drain, the unit's firing, say it fires for 2 to 3 minutes before you get hot water. That's a lot of wasted water and a lot of wasted fuel. All right? So this thing will turn on and off just the way you set the controller. Now, go back in my video, you'll see how to, the MC195T-US controller, how to set it, how to set the pump cycles as per what your customer wants. So basically, you're going to take the 2 speedies off the faucet, you're going to put them into the thermal bypass. These are 1/2" IPS threads. They're male. So you're going to take your 2 speedies, which is going to be your IPS by 3/8 flare, 3/8 compression for both the hot and the cold. But then you're going to need to go from 1/2" to 1/2". That's if your faucet's like this, a 4-inch center set. Now, if some have the Delta supplies, or a lot of faucets already have a 3/8 compression supply, where you're going to have to adapt this. Don't try to put a 1/2" female IPS by 3/8 compression. They leak. They're designed for these nuts, these faucet nuts, with the washer in it. You do it this way, you're going to have 100% leak-proof connection. All right? So this is the way it's supposed to look under the sink when you're done. Take the hot water off the faucet into the bypass. Take the cold water off the faucet into the other side of the bypass. 2 speedies, and as you can see, they're 1/2" IPS by 1/2" IPS. Up to the faucet. 2 1¼ screws. That's what we use, 1¼ because it'll get through the wood, and you know, you never know if a plumber roughed this in wrong and there might be a water line over there and you don't want to throw a screw through it. So 1¼ will get through the bypass valve and grab enough meat in the wood for this to hold. And as you can see, takes up no room under the sink. So if people have things stored underneath there, they have those trays, those drawers, those little buckets, doesn't take up any room. It's right, it'll go like either right up above or below the trap, which is here in the middle. All right? So, now, what else do you get? Inside of the box, at the bottom, make sure, and I stress this pretty much on every one of those RUR videos, when you open up an RUR, whether it's a 130, a 160, a 199, whatever, make sure you take everything out of the box so that you just have a big piece of cardboard box, the bottom, and 4 styrofoam pieces and those ties. That's it. Make sure you have the instruction sheet, which has the little plug for the controller. You're going to have the screens for the vent. You're going to have the actual instruction sheet. And the most important thing is this filter right here. That's going to be in the bottom of the box. There's going to be a little bag of screws that you put into the vent at the top. It's an interior unit. Okay. This is the hot water side of, and I'm going to be pointing it in your direction. This is the hot water side of an RUR unit. This is what's sticking out of the bottom. You have the hot water. You have your 3/4 inch IPS male. Then you have this, almost looks like the filter side, which is on the cold. Comes up through the unit. 4 screws hold it in. Then this is mated to the heat exchanger. This here is mated to the mixing valve from the cold water. You have your thermistor here, and then your freeze protection. Now, if you notice in here, can you see right in there, there is a I'm going to take it out. And watch, it opens up that hole. There's a factory installed plug. That plug stays in if you have a dedicated return line. So if you have a third line, you have your hot, your cold, and then you have another line that's coming back from the farthest fixture. So say what they did is they attached a T when the house was built off this hot water line and brought it back to the tankless. It's a dedicated return line. Now, the RUR unit, and if you let's back up a second. Say you're plumbing the house and you're going to put a dedicated. Run a 3/4 line, because an RUR unit's pump will do 100 feet of 1/2 inch and 400 feet of 3/4. So bring 3/4 back to the tankless, or if you're doing a retrofit, a repipe, bring 3/4 back. All right, so now, and this procedure we do when it's sitting on our DeWalt folding table where we're prepping the unit. We remove this plug because you do not have a dedicated return line. You're installing this. So you remove the plug. You have the little bag that has the filter in it, and there is an O-ring. What you're going to do, now you do need a pair of pliers because it is in there. What you need to do is you gotta watch, see how I'm doing it? So the pliers are facing me. You're going to push in and turn away from you, and it separates. It's not like the filter on the cold water side where you could do it by hand. There's a bit of pressure that you need to push in to release. There's bigger points on this. You see there's 2 holes, a hole there and a hole here. All right, so now you remove the plug. Don't throw the plug away. Now you're going to take the filter out. You do not need the O-ring that's in there. You take that out. Now this, you just find it's happy medium, and you just push in and turn. So now the filter is in there. The filter open in the back. And now you're going to insert the filter into that port. And now if you could see the filter now, what it's doing is that it's filtering the water, because it's not a dedicated line just going into the cold water and being reused. Pressure's coming back and it's filtering it, so it opens up the thermal bypass side of the system. Okay, and all it is hand tight. Don't go nuts with this thing. Now, once it's on, take the plug, put it back in the bag. Now you're going to open the unit to put the controller and to set the parameters. Put this in the bottom left-hand side, right where the condensate trap is. Because if you ever do a repipe on this house, you have the plug. You don't have to try to find one. All right? So, again, one thermal bypass valve at the most troublesome fixture that is a sink. Remember, it cannot go in a wall or under a tile tub because it needs to be accessible. Make sure you find the bag that has the filter in it. Now remember, this is how it's facing, just like this. So I'm facing you. This is how it's facing. So you're looking at it, and you're just going to take it right off. Now there's plastic. There's a little plastic retainer here, and it goes over to the condensate trap drain. You're just going to have to monkey with that. And then you're going to replace the plug with this filter, put it back into this housing, tighten it up by hand. So when it stops, it stops. That's it. It's sealed. I've never had it leak. I've never had to put a wrench on the thing. And to remove the filter, like I said, you're going to need to put a pair of pliers in there and twist and turn. So even to remove the screen is the same thing. You have to push in and turn it. The screen you got to be you got to be very careful with, because you can crush it. Okay? And then if you put a dedicated return line in, you put the plug back in. And that's it. So when you get to the faucet, this is what you're going to find. I'll get my little pointer. You're going to find your hot water, your cold water with two speedies. You have a trap, pop-up, or if it's a kitchen sink, a strainer. And then once you have the water off, that's the way it's going to look. Hot water into the hot water side of the bypass, cold water into the cold water side of the bypass, two speedies back up so the faucet is accessible and you can be used, and then the thermal bypass will operate. Now, before you install this, I would recommend to flush the lines out. So have a bucket with you, take your speedy, put it up in a bucket, turn your valves on, and flush it. We install this last. When we do a tankless, we have to shut the water off in the house because we're taking a water heater out, or maybe an older tankless. We go right back up to the pipe at the wall and then put new Upanor back into it. So we always shut off the water at the street. So we install this last. If you have working speedies underneath there, not change the speedies. You know, it's a part of a good clean install, having good speedies underneath there. And then you could shut the two speedies off, and then when you come in, flush the lines out. You don't want any of the dirt and debris that comes in after you turn the water main back on into this valve. Now, I've never had a defective or a bad thermal bypass valve. What I did have is a noisy one. A really noisy one. And we had to come back, take it off, bring it outside, put a hose in it, flushed it out, right in a bucket. We saw the debris. It just got in there. And even we flush every single one of them. It got in there. So, make sure you flush it, because out of the hundreds we have, maybe even 1,000, we only had one noisy one. All right? So in the description below, I'll put this part number. You can get this as, just say if for some reason you lost it or whatever. Or you did throw it in the dumpster and it got on the garbage and you got lost. So you can get it. But again, once you replace the plug with the filter, put the plug back in the bag and put the bag inside. And I always put it down in the bottom left-hand corner, right between the chassis and the condensate trap, because it'll stay there nice out of the way. And you have to open up the unit anyway because you got to set the parameters. All right, YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, I'm going to repeat this. 1 thermal bypass valve. And that's it. You can't have more than one. All right? All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have a question, my email will be below. Again, thank you for all of the comments, the likes, the subscribes, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys send me stuff. I sometimes you don't put a return address. I can't thank yous, but whoever is sent me like cigars and fruit and stuff, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. But I'm here to help. I'm here to help to have these things installed. It's a great unit. It's a good, very, very, very good company, and it's a phenomenal unit. And I just want to make sure that they're installed correctly and that they'll give you 20 years of endless hot water. Alrighty? You all be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye now.